Welcome to Amateur Sports TV. I'm Matias Bueno here from the Huddle with Bill Johnson, the Executive Director of Football Manitoba. And we got lots of exciting events that are going on and have gone on here in the month of July in our province. And Bill, the first up was the Canada Cup that just concluded recently this weekend in Ontario. And can you speak a little bit about how that went for Manitoba and what it meant for the boys out in Ontario?
Yeah, it was in Kingston, and I had the privilege of attending at Queen's University, and our kids had a great run. They had a really a great game, great first half against Quebec. They had a 3 or 4 minute spell where things got a little bit rough, and the game got away from us a little bit. But Quebec is one of the strongest. Quebec finished second in the whole tournament, so that was a tough game. But we were right in it the whole way, and I wish we could have that one back. But then we went on to beat New Brunswick and BC and had a 5th place finish, which is it's very good, and it bodes very well going into next year for our seedings.
And the next event that we had up on our slate was the Red River Cup for U18 girls. And can you speak a little bit about its inception and a bit about how it was started and who was able to get this tournament together and what it means for girls football in Manitoba and in Western Canada?
Yeah, Lisa Cummings and her group at the MGFA have really been leaders in terms of girls tackle football in the country. And this event, Lisa's driving this. Lisa Cummings is the driving force behind this whole thing. But it started out with Manitoba has the MGFA Tackle League, and then Saskatchewan has a 4-team league in the south now. And so this is the first chance for interprovincial play for girls in tackle football in the country. So it's a really neat thing in that regard.
And can you speak to how it develops amateur football for girls and how it's able to increase the opportunity for girls to play football and how it kind of leads up to the WWCFL once they become within that age range after the Red River Cup?
Yeah, it's things like this are so important in development because these girls, young girls now who are looking for a sport that appeals to them, they now have role models to look to. They have people who have gone on and played interprovincially, and we're hoping that this will lead to a national championship. We've talked to groups from New Brunswick and Ontario who are interested in having teams in this as well, and we're hoping that in a few years this will be a true national championship for girls in tackle football, which would be obviously a new idea and the first of its kind. Those role models then will get these girls out to MGFA, and then eventually they will grow into be the next generation of fearless and Wolfpack players here in the province. And it's so important that we start at the grassroots level, getting those girls out, and it's so important they have someone to look up to.
Absolutely, and especially considering being able to grow the game of football for women as well and making sure that everybody is able to be included in this sport is huge. And it's great to see that there's a lot of hardworking people, like you mentioned, Lisa Cummings, being able to spearhead these tournaments and these opportunities for women to play football at young ages here in Manitoba. The next event we had up on our slate is the U16 Western Challenge, and can you speak to how that transitioned from the Red River Cup a few years ago and what it means for Manitoba and what's going on right now?
Yeah, it's Football Canada, with their long-term athlete development model, decided that it was appropriate to have a championship for kids at the U16 level. However, not a true national championship. They don't need to be competing at that level just yet. So they made it a Western Canadian tournament. So the 4 Western provinces all compete in that, and it's been that way for a few years now. Manitoba traditionally does quite well at this tournament. It's going on in Kamloops right now, actually, and hopefully we have a good showing out there again.
Now, the next event we have on our slate is the Flag Nationals. And can you tell us about where that event is, what's going on, and how Manitoba has done over the years, and what it's going to mean for them to be able to do well this year?
Yeah, there's actually 2 separate events happening on the same weekend, last weekend in July. There's the CFFL, which is the Canadian Flag Football League Championships for senior. And we have 2 men's teams that will be competing there in Saskatoon. And then and we're the defending national champions actually in that event. And then in Regina at the same time there'll be U18 and U16 boys and girls. So we have 4 teams going to that tournament as well. That'll be occurring that same weekend. We last year we medaled in all of these events, and we actually at the U18 boys and the senior men's events we gold medaled. So I would like to see us carry forth that success. And in the terms of non-contact football, Manitoba once again is a real force in the country, and we're pioneers. We really lead the way a lot in that regard. So it would be nice to carry forward with that and continue our success.
And how important is it to grow the game of non-contact football in terms of flag in the province of Manitoba, and what can you speak to in terms of the impact that it's had on our community for the sport of football?
Well, it's It does a couple things, I think. I think there's a certain segment of athlete, potential athlete, who choose not to play contact sport and they're looking for something. And I think being able to have them participate in football still is important. So that's where flag is a nice option in that regard. But also it gives some of our tackle players an opportunity to work on skill development, things like that, especially the quarterbacks and the receivers and the running backs and things like that. It's an excellent opportunity for them to basically have, if they choose to play in multiple leagues, they can have year-round skill development in either a recreational or a competitive setting.
You also mentioned that it's an important month in terms of Football Manitoba because of registration for our clubs. And when did registration start, and where can people look to register their kids in football in Manitoba?
Registration's been open for a few weeks now, and the leagues are actually getting ready to start in just a couple of weeks. So it's last second registrations are still available in all of our tackle leagues, and if anyone's interested in registering any of those, I recommend they look at our website, footballmanitoba.com, and they can be directed to the appropriate league and registration platform from there.
Awesome. That's a lot of great things that are happening here in our province of Manitoba in the community of football, and a lot of events, great events that have happened, and also great events to look forward to. Tune in next month for our segment again with Bill from the Huddle. For Bill Johnson, I'm Matias Bueno, and you're watching Amateur Sports TV.